If you're struggling with laying the club down in transition or could use a little more consistency in your golf swing, you're going to want to stick around. So there's a money line in golf. It's not often called a money line, but whether you like plain line, whether you like reference line, whether you like line of action, doesn't really matter. There's a line in golf that's responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in winnings, and I'm sure going forward, hundreds of millions more. And we're going to call it the money line, and we're going to represent it by just stacking up a bunch of money. So the corridor this money creates, the line this money creates, is just inside the golf ball, just outside the golf ball, right up through the golfer's elbow. And you're going to see as he takes the club back and all the way to the top of the swing, except for those two spots, right at address and right at the top, this golfer keeps his hands in the club pretty much in this corridor throughout the meat of the swing going back and the meat of the swing coming down. This produces a very consistent ball flight, very consistent misses, and very powerful golf shots as well. And we want to get into that. We want to go into the nuts and bolts of how this is accomplished, how you can get yourself in this money line by kind of talking about a little balance sheet for your golf swing. We want to look at how this golfer achieves getting his hands and his club on this really nice angle, this really consistent angle in the downswing. And anytime we're trying to get things to move on an angle, you've got to have the right amount of out, you've got to have the right amount of down consistently to keep reproducing that time after time. So that's our balance sheet. We're going to balance his outward debits and his downward credits, and then we're going to look at his turn numbers as that happen, which are right here at the top middle of the screen. So we're going to represent, we're going to put a little pink dot here right in the middle of where his two hands join on the club, right, to kind of represent his hub path. Then we're going to look at different faces of the downswing and actually measure the down and out so you can see the kind of proportions that are required to move the club on plane. So right off the bat, we're going to start him down this first phase of the downswing. And this is so much steeper than golfers realize. And by steep, I mean his hands have moved forward or towards the golf ball 1 inch. They've came down 7 inches. So a 7-to-1 ratio of down to out. That's quite a bit different than what we see so many of our amateur golfers do, who either been told or just by sheer instinct or concept, they see that plane line in their mind going out to the golf ball, so they take the hands out to the golf ball. That's not how it works. The hands have to move virtually straight down to start getting on that plane. And as you can see here, you can see how his turn numbers relate to this, but the hands have come 7 inches down and only 1 inch out. Now let's take them to the next phase of the downswing. Now we see a little less steeper aspect of the downswing, but still quite a bit steep. And for numbers, we're moving out 4 inches, down 12 inches. So about a 3-to-1 ratio. And we're kind of keeping tally here with our credits and debits. We got 5 inches out, 19 inches down. Let's take it to the next phase. And we're looking at another 6 inches out, another 14 inches down. So that's given us from the top of the backswing to right here in the downswing, the golfer has moved his hands outward 11 inches, but down almost 3 feet. So it's really a 1-to-3 ratio of out to down, or a 3-to-1 ratio of down to out, however you want to look at it. But to say that you need to be moving the hands out a lot at the top of the downswing is just something that we don't see good golfers do. It's just literally the opposite. The hands need to be moving 3-to-1 ratio more down than out. The turn is involved here. So if the hands are staying up and the arms aren't being brought down, the turn is going to carry the hands out. There has to be a downward component to get everything back on plane. I think that's the big takeaway here, is that you're not trying to take your hands out on an angle on the plane. You're trying to move the hands down. The turn will take care of the out. You've got to supply the down. Now let's play this swing through so you can see the natural movement on the downswing and how all this kind of comes together. So everyone's hands are going to be above the plane at the top. That's when they come sharply down. Then as the hands get below the turn, that's how we like to term it, then the hands start to shallow out down towards the bottom of the swing plane. But initially, it's steep hands coming down. They get below the turn, and then the turn starts to carry the hands out and around. So we've got to supply the down at the start of the downswing, and that's what really gets the hands, gets the club head, all of those nice looks that you see in those really good tour swings. That's how it happens. The hands come down, and the turn carries them around. Like so many things in the golf swing that we teach, a great checkpoint is this left arm parallel position. And if you're there, if you're good at this left arm parallel position in the backswing, it's going to make your job, it's going to make your club movement so much easier and so much better. So one of the things that we see all the time is the club gets out of position really early in the backswing. And then, at this point in the backswing with this left arm parallel, half of your golf swing is over with. So the golf swing takes right at 1 second, faster players just under a second. It's half over at this point in the golf swing. So if the club is really out of position right here, the other half of the golf swing that hasn't come yet is basically spent trying to get it in position. And it's not always a winning battle. So what we like to use here to describe that is kind of a spectrum. And we're going to use green here because green for go. Green's good. And then if we start to vary the club a little bit, so if we start to get it a little out of position, this kind of where now we're kind of in the caution zone, right? It can still hit playable shots here, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult than if we were in the green zone. And the really, again, I should mention this, the really cool thing about being in such an on-plane position at this point in the golf swing is good golf is off-speed golf, right? We just don't go out and hit a full round of golf with full 8 irons, full 9 irons, full 7 irons, whatever. There's always off-speed shots involved. If you're on plane right here, you can reverse it, come down, hit very straight, very accurate shots just from being in this position. It's probably one of the key things that I've learned from Scott and being around him so often to watch him teach this is if you get this spot in the backswing, you're pretty darn good, especially with the off-speed shots. So again, we've got our caution zone, right? Don't want to deviate too far from the green, but if you do, it's still not the end of the world. Outside of the caution zone, we start to get in a little bit of trouble. Now we see a lot of golfers in kind of this orange zone. That's really, you're going to have a difficult time, especially with off-speed shots, when the club is either of these two positions at this point in the golf swing. You're going to require a lot of manipulation, a lot of work to get it back on plane. And then outside of that, we even see golfers that get in this red zone. This is definitely the zone you want to stay out of. And it's going to make your time spent in the golf swing, that precious 1 second, very difficult. You're going to seem like you don't have enough time because, in all honesty, you've got to move the club so much more just to get it in playable positions that it's going to be very difficult to do time after time. Uneven stances, uneven lies, all of those things are going to make it difficult. So this is kind of what the spectrum looks like. You want to be right up and down that green zone. Green is good. Yellow, you got a chance. Orange and red, your life becomes very difficult as far as the golf swing goes. Do what you can. Train yourself. Use a buddy. Use training aids like just alignment sticks, all those things to get yourself on plane at this left arm parallel position in the backswing. It's going to make things a lot easier because from here it's just a small turn to the top and boom, you fire it right down. Now, one of the cool things about getting yourself on plane is it makes the swing consistent. We all want to hit more good shots. They don't happen enough for a lot of us. So having your swing on plane, having it on a good plane, like everybody's swing is on a plane, having it on a good plane really makes the golf swing consistent and repeatable. And just to kind of really illustrate that, we're going to show you the first half of the downswing, the first half of the backswing of the same golfer. This is the same swing, not any kind of trickery going on or anything. This is the same swing and just show you how functional this can be. So we roll them back. Again, we're at left arm parallel, backswing, left arm parallel, and the downswing. Two of our big key points. The reason we like these points in the golf swing is because everybody has them. We all don't have the same top of the backswing, but we all pretty much have a left arm parallel going back and a left arm parallel coming down. And they're two great check marks. So if you've ever been to the to the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. You know, at the end of the ride, they put that hologram ghost in your little cart buggy thing there. That's kind of what we're going to do here. So we're going to take the downswing ghost hologram and we're going to slide him over and put him right in the backswing. And you can see just how matched up and on plane this golfer is. It's why his swing is so good. How matched up and on plane he is going back and coming down. And it really makes the golf swing that much easier to do, especially when you start adding speed. Nobody likes speed in the trees. Everybody likes speed in the fairway. And this is going to be a big help for getting you to hit longer shots, more consistent shots, and straighter shots.